This video is part 5 of my fish tank tutorial series and should be for beginner. Today I want to show you how to create soil in 3 different ways and place tiny rocks all over your surface. Before we start, I want to introduce my new or some kind of reworked Patreon page. My YouTube videos are absolutely free for everyone and I don't beg for any donations here. But you need to see that I put a lot of effort to my videos so that you get new tutorials every week, and I just want to keep it optional for you to support me and my work. There are some benefits as well if you become a patron, but the main aim is to support this YouTube channel. The link for the Patreon page is in the description below. Thank you for being here. But let's start with this tutorial now. Ways to create soil. And I will continue here where we stopped the last time. And probably you know everything what I did here if you watched my previous tutorials. But what I need now is the inner part of my fish tank. So what I don't need is the shelf, what I don't need is the light, and what I don't need is the water simulation so far. So I have only this fish tank here, and I will select this, duplicate this, and it is somewhere here inside this, and I will call this soil. And for sure this is the wrong collection, so I will just pull this somewhere out there. And this is, and disable this one. So, and I have only this glass tank here, and I have the solidifier already here, which is giving me the thickness of my general fish tank. So I will just apply this because I want to have the inner part here, and I will take any part of here and I will just go to edge selection mode and place a random edge here. Okay, and I want to mark this as a seam. Go to face selection mode, select my faces out there and just delete them. So we have only this one here. So very good. And I just fill this. Okay, I accidentally hit as well rotation button, but I don't need the rotation button. Next, I will just delete all of these faces because I just want to keep my base face and my top face. So this is totally fine. And I will just separate this by loose parts so that I have this file and this file, and this is the top. And this is the bottom part here. So I will just duplicate this 3 times because I show you 3 different ways how to create the soil surface. We just don't want this very flat face here, so we want to have some tiny hills and valleys, and so that this is a nice surface inside of the fish tank. Okay, so the first option or the first method is to use proportional editing, and this is more a random method because you can't control exactly what you're doing here. So I go to edit mode, and what we need is more geometry because we currently have just 4 vertices and we need to add more geometry so that we can sculpt the surface. Some kind of this. So I select everything and just subdivide this one. And I can just do this again and again. Or I just use the number of cuts here and rise the number so that we have more. And this is just too less. Maybe we need more of this so that we have a nice surface here. Okay, you see. Now I just press C to get my selection box or my selection brush here and start to use some areas here and there. Okay, so something like this. I just don't know exactly how this will look like, but because this is a random factor, but I just selected this one on probably some single vertices as well, somewhere here and there. And now we need to enable proportional editing because basically this is disabled, but we need to enable this one. This is this one and the shortcut O, so you can enable and disable with the O button. And this is currently smooth, and when we do this now, then it is a little bit weird because, yeah, you see there's something happening, something is going on, and you have this radius here, and with the middle mouse button, with the mouse wheel, you can change this radius. And you see, okay, this is now looking like this, okay, maybe not the best thing what you want to do. For sure, this is probably good for creating some kind of sand dunes. Yeah, you will definitely get some nice results in any case, but you can do as well different shapes here. So for example, you can do something like this. There is maybe as well some interesting shapes, but I want to just continue with random, and random gives you this one, and probably I will rise or lower this one, so you get different results for this one as well. And what is as well interesting is you just want to do this random distortion in one specific direction, and I do this by pressing the Z key, so I'm just moving to the Z axis, and there I'm doing this one here. So the question now is to change the radius as well, so that you get different results, and I guess it is better if we have smaller radius, something like this probably. This is pretty interesting. The most important thing is that when you go to top view, this rectangle is still active, so you don't lose the shape of this, because it should be inside of your fish tank later, and we don't need any vertices which is going somewhere to this direction or something like this. And probably you see that this is currently very hard, so the surface doesn't look very good. So basically I just like the little hills and the valleys here, but it is very ugly so far. And even though if you select everything and shade smooth, this is not the best solution so far. You have several options. Maybe you just go here in the toolbar and select smooth here, and you have this little controller, and when you click this, then you have the control to smooth your faces by moving the mouse, by keep the left mouse button clicked. So probably you just smooth them out here. So then this looks a little bit better. Yeah. So I will undo this. And the second option is you just have to go to vertex menu, and there you have to find smooth vertex option, and then you get automatically smoothed vertices, so it's not that bad anymore. But the only thing is that this is not very good, because you smoothed as well the corner, and this is bad. Probably you need to fix the corners now, and you bring everything back to this axis here. For example, I just will show you this very quickly. I'm selecting my whole edge here. Yes, this one, and I will go to top selection mode, and I will just scale epsilon 0, so the whole line is on one line position. And now I enable snapping by pressing Shift Tab, and press now G to move your vertices, and just press epsilon to move to only one direction, and then I can snap the whole line to this again. And I can do this as well here. For example, taking this, press scale to X direction 0, so everything is on 0 X direction now. Then I move them to the X direction and just place them here, and so then this is fixed. So you can do this with all the corners, but probably you like this or not. This is just method 1. Okay, so let's continue with method 2. I will just enable my second plane here, and I need for this as well many more vertices than just one this here. Okay, so I just select this and subdivide and bring this up to 10, and again subdivide, bring this up to 10 so that we have some vertices here, because we need all this information. Probably it would be good that we add more, but it's up to you if you want. For this testing, I just keep it like this. And what we are going to do now is to sculpt this plane so that we have our own control where our hills and valleys should be. So I just go here to Control Tabulator, and now I select Sculpt Mode. And you find this Sculpt Mode as well here. There you can select all different modes, for example Object Mode, Edit Mode, or Sculpt Mode. And we getting immediately to this here. And if you don't have any experience with sculpting, this is not a problem, because it's not that hard to understand. For example, when I go, we have this radius and we are able to just paint now on our surface. And currently we are pulling the geometry inside, because we have this brush here, this basic brush here. And with the shortcut Control, we are undoing this, we're pulling it out. So we creating our valleys and our hills by ourselves, and we just create this one and can paint valleys and hills where we want to. But I will undo this. So again, if I just left click, then I press it inside, and if I press Control, then I pull this outside. So we have hills and valleys just by sculpting this. But we will see now there is an issue, which is a problem, because we ignore our corners, and this is probably not good. If we go to top view, then we see that we are pulling geometry to a specific direction, and this is not good for our fish tank, because we want to keep our ratio here. So how do you do this? It's not that hard. You just need to do some settings, and I go to my active tool panel, and there you have all this the properties, or all the settings for this brush here. And I go down to symmetry, and I just lock the axis. So we just want to pull and press geometry to the Z direction. We don't want to move geometry to any other direction. So I just lock those two axes so that we just pull and drag to the Z axis. And now you see this. If I do this now and go to the top view, then we keep our ratio here. So our vertices stay at the correct X and epsilon value, but our Z direction is changing. And this is very important for sculpting our valley here. So I just and Control. Looks good. So this is our fish tank valley, and probably you want to do this a little bit better than I do here, but this is just my test here, and this is my test, and we are just able to use different brushes to create this sculpting surface here. So very important maybe is as well the smooth brush. So we just flatten again our valleys here. This is maybe an interesting factor as well, and we need as well the F key to small or rise our brush. So this is maybe as well very interesting. So you don't have to be a good sculptor to create this surface or this soil surface here. So it's very easy, and yeah. And in the end, you just go here to in edit mode, and I guess I need to enter the face selection mode, and then we shade smooth everything, and then this looks pretty okay to me. So this is option 2. Now switch to method 3. So we have again our flat surface here, and the third method is to use the displacement modifier. You can't really control what the modifier is doing, but if you want to, you can do some adjustments afterwards. So I go here to the modifier section, and I add the displacement modifier here. And something is going on already because our face is moving to the bottom part here. Okay, this is the first step. We need to select now a pattern which deforms our surface. So okay, I go here to the texture part here and I will just create a new one. And this should be clouds. And the clouds is a prepared texture from Blender itself, and you don't have to download it somewhere, so it's just here. I need to select it here, clouds, and I want to name this Displacement 1. And the method behind this is that the darker parts are valleys and the lighter parts are hills, so that we generate our surface by this texture. And I need just to select this here as well. Oh, okay, it's already selected, and it is not looking like this so far because we need more geometry. So okay, again, the same thing. I need to subdivide this, and I will raise this to probably 10, and again subdivide 10. So we have this vertex amount now. And then when I go back to object mode, then you see that this is creating this one. So we have a very strong displacement so far. And probably we just want to flatten this a little bit by changing the strength. And we get very fast this surface. And it is as well totally fine with the edges. They are correct so far. And we're just displacing our z-axis, so this is very nice. And for sure we can play around till we find a value which fits fine to our fish tank so far. Okay, well, this was a very fast method, I guess, and I will continue by creating now little stones which should be now on the surface, and I will, I will continue with the method 3 option here. For sure you are able, feel free to use any option of this one, but these are my 3 options so far, and this one was the proportional editing, which is probably an option, but it's not the best option so far in my opinion. So then we have the second option, which is sculpting our own surface. For sure this was as well very quick, and maybe you need to put some more effort to this one, but yeah, it's option 2, and option 3 is this modifier, this displacement modifier, which is probably one of the best solutions. Well, I want to create now stones which are lying on my surface, so around my fish tank, so that we have really some nice soil pattern. And creating the stones, I have a very nice technique from CG Geek. Sorry for my pronunciation. And I will just create a cube now and add as well the subdivision modifier, so that we're getting nice round shapes. And I want to increase the vertices to something like this. So this looks good. Okay. So, and the next thing is I want to create the displacement modifier, which is creating a nice pattern on side of this. So, okay, I need to add a texture now, and I will just press new here. And now I go to the texture tab because I need to define this. So the texture should be the Varanoid. And this is creating this. So the displacement is creating from the white and the black dots, creating a displacement. And yeah, this is currently this one. So I will just bring this to a nice intensity. So I pull this down a little bit. Maybe it's something like this, and probably this a little bit more, till we get a nice shape. So I like this one. So maybe I go back to my modifier, and the subdivision, I will increase this to 5, so that this is getting a little bit better. So this looks actually okay. So maybe the strength as well different, so something like this. So we're getting a nice shape for this stone here. And we can adjust the properties as well here. So probably we want more something like this. Yes, this looks good, and or something like this looks as well good. So we're getting really a nice shape for this. So I personally like this. Very important as well. Well, something like important. I go to edit mode and press right mouse button and shade smooth, so that we really have some nice surface shading here. And what is as well very interesting is I go back to the modifier tab, and when I click this one here, so I can edit. So I can edit my stone and getting different shapes. So there we can create really nice shapes for the stone. Well, and again, another thing which is very interesting is I'm collapsing all these modifiers here, and I just add an array modifier. And you see that we're adding more and more stones like this. And they are all duplicates of the first one, and probably we don't want this. So the thing what we need to do is just apply this. So, and we got different shapes of this. So we have different stone shapes with these modifiers as well. And we are able to just modify them here as well. Probably I need to select the correct vertices so that we getting really the correct thing. And probably I just scale this as well so that we get different shapes as well. So we have smaller and bigger one. So for example, this one, I make this bigger. So as well, there's when we move this, we're getting different shapes because we always use the Voronoi texture, and this is fixed. But if we move this, then we are more or less moving as well the geometry over this texture. I really like those results. So when you think this is okay to you, our stones are very nice, so I scale them down now, and I want to bring them now to our surface here. So I just make them really small so that this is not too big, something like this. And what I want to do as well is I want every single stone as a single object. So I go to edit mode, select everything, and press P to separate all by loose parts. So I have now single objects, and I select all of them, press right mouse button and set origin to geometry. So now our origin is back to the center of the geometry. So this is very good. And now I want to place those stones randomly on our soil surface. Usually you are able to randomly placing an object with a particle effect on your surface, but you can do this only once. But we want to place all of them on the surface. So I select all of them, and I need to pull all of them to a new collection, which is needed for my particle system next. So I will call them rocks. So, fine. And now I need to select my soil surface and go here to particle properties and create a new one. And basically you just creating this particle system on the surface. And I will just reduce this to 200, probably something like this. Okay, so we have now our spots where we place our, okay, 200, sorry. We have our spots where our particles are going to, but this is currently with this spheres. We want our stones placing on the surface now. So we need to go down there to render, and there you have render as, and I want to select collection or a single object. So if you have a single stone which should be randomly placed on your surface, then you should a select object, but I want to do a collection. And we need to select now our collection, which should be placed on our surface. So I will just take the rocks. And currently they are very tiny, and we need to change the scale. So you see this now. So this is very nice because these are some instances, and if we change anything here, then this will change as well here on our surface. So this is very nice, and we can play around till we find a good solution how this looks like. So playing around here with the number, or for example with the seed, then we can create different kind of solutions here, and yeah, this is very interesting. So I just thinking about this, and then here, for example, in render we have as well the scale randomness, so we can as well change the size of the single stones as well. So this is very interesting. When we look at this now, this is pretty nice so far because some of them are looking inside of my mesh. So we get a nice result, I guess. So when we go back here, we have our particle effect here on by the modifiers, but we can adjust the modifier or the particle effect here. So the placement is done so far, and for sure we need to do some adjustments later to pull some stones on the correct position because they are overlapping or going inside the glass wall. So we need to do some adjustments later. We can't just select them and pull them around because they are all emitting on the surface. So we need to apply the stones, the particle system, and convert them into the position. And we need to apply as well the displacement map because we need to connect the bottom part with the top part, and so that we close everything so the soil is looking very good in the end. But before we do this, we need to care about that we need to apply a texture or a material onto the stones, because then this material will be transferred to all the instances here as well. Because when we convert now every single stone on this surface here, then we need to adjust every single stone by hand, and this is not what we want to. For sure we can select them and all redo the applying material to every single stone, but this is not what we want to, and we can do this before we apply everything or convert everything, and I will do this very quickly, and you already know the process from my last video. So when we did the setup for the materials, then we are able to just select our plane again and go to the modifier tab and convert all stones here to single objects and apply our particle system. So we have now the possibility to move around our stones and yeah, for sure find a new position if we want to. Otherwise, we are just selecting here again and apply here the displacement modifier as well, so that we can now select both planes here and join them so that we have one single object. Now we are able to just find the side parts, faces, to connect both planes. To do this, I will add some more geometry on the bottom plane, and then I will connect all the bottom places with the top faces so that we can creating nice walls. Alright, I want to check out now how this looks like with the rest of my... Oops, so there are some cubes. I will just place them as well to an instance or to a collection. So, alright, so here we have the glass material, here we have our light system, and here we have our water simulation. And the shelf for sure, and the room for sure, and now I'm just doing a test render. Let's check this out. Alright, so this is the render result, and the result is more or less okay. So we have some shading problems here, and maybe I need to change as well the material on the side part here, so we don't have those dunes here, which are basically not correct. So the top part looks more or less okay. I like it so far, and this is more or less the end of this video tutorial, because so I showed you 3 different ways how to create a soil surface, and I showed you how to create these rocks and bring them all over the surface so that we have some kind of a soil inside of our fish tank. So in the next part of the fish tank tutorial series, I want to create the filter and the heating element so that we have really some fish tank feeling, that so this is not just an empty shell. So thank you very much for watching. It would be very interesting what you think about this tutorial, and if you missed anything or if there was something wrong, what you would do differently. Don't forget to pass by my Patreon page and get access to my working files for these tutorials. Alright, so thank you very much for watching. It would be great to give this video a like or subscribe to our YouTube channel for more game dev videos. Till the next time, cheers!